How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be continuing my Halloween series reviews with Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. Note that subtitle. After Halloween 3, Halloweens 4, 5, and 6 would all include the word Michael Myers in the subtitle. He was absent from Part 3. Fans didn't like that, and in turn, every subtitle for the next 3 movies, you have to tell people Michael Myers will be in the movie. So, a good way to say, hey fans, we have Michael Myers this time. It's okay, it's the return of Michael Myers. He's back. So, that's worth note. Also, 1988, so a fair bit of time has passed since the last one. This is directed by Dwight H. Little and stars Donald Pleasence, which, great to have him back. Out of the first 6 entries, with the exception of Season of the Witch, Donald Pleasence as Sam Loomis is in every film. So it's great to have him as a through line. It's great to have him show up in every single one and, tie the franchise together. It's really cool to see this character, and that's great. But we also get a really new, interesting newcomer, Danielle Harris. Danielle Harris, this is her first time in the series, and she would go on to be the person with the 3rd most Halloween movies. Obviously, Jamie Lee Curtis has the most Halloween movies, followed by Donald Pleasence. But Danielle Harris would go on to be in 4 Halloween movies, which is a pretty impressive number, and she's really little in this one. She's a young kid. This is young Danielle Harris, but she would grow up to be a Scream Queen in her own right. The Hatchet franchise, several others, so this is the beginning of a Scream Queen right here with young Danielle Harris, and she does a really good job acting, especially for a kid character. The story is hers, for most of it, seeing her be a young girl, seeing her be bullied and stuff, you really do get behind her, so you really did need a good child actor there. So, really good find with this actor. But anyway, this is produced once again by Moustapha Akkad, and he had been involved in the first few, but after Season of the Witch, the future of the franchise was kind of in limbo. They didn't know what they wanted to do with it, and a lot of people thought it was just dead. But Moustapha Akkad bought the rights to the whole franchise so that he could make more movies. He was the one who thought, hey, it's not dead, we can keep this going, and he said, look, Season of the Witch didn't work, we're gonna go back to basics. We're going to give everybody a straightforward slasher. Michael Myers is going to be back and they're all going to love it. And for the most part they did. And in retrospect, this is a pretty standard sequel. It's by no means the worst of the franchise. It's not really the best ever, like Halloween 1 and 2 are way better than this one. But it's still pretty good, The first half is a little bit slow in this movie. You are meeting the new generation of characters. I kind of think of this movie as Halloween 4, the next generation, But you do meet a whole load of new characters. You get to see the old ones kind of be like, oh, it's this thing 10 years ago, we thought it was over, and it's all coming back, the return of Michael Myers, so you get to see that looming over the opening half. And the finale, the end part of this movie, the setting, is actually a house. They kind of have it all boarded up, and it becomes like a defend the base style movie, and that's pretty cool. These characters, a fair bit of them, all huddled in the house, knowing that Michael Myers is outside. The ending of this movie is pretty good. Overall, though, the first half is just kind of slow, and there's not that great of kills in this movie. I mean, Michael Myers does shove his thumb into someone's forehead. That was impressive. But there's actually a whole bunch of kills where, you almost feel like you got some weird, censored version because they'll find way more bodies than normal that you didn't see the kill for. And in some cases I get it, but there's like a police station scene, and I'm like, wait, this really feels like the first part of this was cut out or something. You could have had a really cool scene there, but, you know, there's just so much that, you know, they don't show, and I wish there was more kills, and I wish they were more creative, but overall, like I said, this movie's good. It's not as great as 1 and 2. 1 and 2 are pretty good. And this movie, it's fine though, and I did like a lot of it, especially the ending, and I obviously like the new cast, you know, Jamie, the young girl, and her older adoptive sister, Rachel, are good final girls, and you really do care for them. And, you know, Donald Pleasence is back, so there's a lot to like with this one. It's just, you know, not the best, and it doesn't push the kills far enough, and it's a little slow, but in the opening, but you get to the end, it's all cool, they're running around, the rooftop scene is pretty great, so yeah, it's still a good movie, it's just not 1 and 2, you know? But anyway, let's talk a little bit about the plot. I'm not going to be doing any major spoilers, but I do want to say my piece on a few plot points, and make sure you guys have a basic understanding as to what the movie's about. We open up, Michael Myers is once again being transferred, but this time they're doing it under Sam Loomis's nose, so he doesn't complain. You know, they slipped a memo that they knew he wouldn't read, and it was like, okay, that's good enough, let's get him out of here. And they go in, and, you know, I heard someone else say the asylum's kind of like a haunted house, and the guy guiding them through, oh, all these people are so spooky, right? You know, so it's a little cheesy. But they get Michael Myers out, they put him on the ambulance. He obviously doesn't have his mask. He has a bunch of bandages on his face, because if you remember Halloween 2, Michael Myers and Sam Loomis got blown up. But they're okay. And that's sort of one of the funny things, you know, I find when they want to bring characters back that they kind of, you know, killed in the last movie. They're like, yeah, no, he got blown up, but, you know, it just didn't kill him. He's fine. He's a little burnt, but they're fine. So yeah, Michael Myers, his hands are burnt. You see his burnt hands. He's got bandages on, which I think after 10 years you wouldn't really need anymore, but maybe they, you know, knew that he would be, you know, angry if he didn't have some sort of mask on or something. I don't know. But yeah, Michael Myers is pretty burnt up, and Sam Loomis has like a little bit on one side of his face and his hand, you know, so they survived, but you're reminded of part 2. So Michael Myers is transferred out, and he's on the ambulance, and the paramedics, one of them says, yeah, he actually has a niece in Haddonfield. Jamie Lee Curtis has a daughter. And then hearing this, Michael Myers wakes up and just wreaks havoc on the ambulance, letting it crash. So they kind of think he's dead, except for Sam Loomis. He's not fooled. He's like, you'll not find Michael Myers in the wreckage. I'm gonna go after him. And it's kind of funny. He does turn into that determined character. Like, he's yelling at the guy in the office, and, you know, he's like, you can't let Michael Myers out. What are you thinking? And then he's got his boss has a phone call, and he's like, there's been a wreck on this street, and before he can even say that it was Michael Myers' ambulance, Sam Loomis just knows, and he leaves before the guy finishes his sentence. So he goes, he sees the wreck, he's sure Michael's still alive, and he chases after him, which leads to a pretty cool gas station sequence. You know, there's a mechanic, Michael Myers needs to kill a guy to get a new set of overalls after all. That's the thing, Michael Myers, known for killing teens on Halloween, but also one mechanic a year because he needs new overalls, right? But anyway, he kills the mechanic, Sam Loomis spots him and is like, Michael, stop, come with me. And of course he's not going to do that, but Michael Myers leaves in a big pickup truck and blows up Sam Loomis's car so that he can get to Haddonfield, and Sam Loomis is delayed a little bit, but he is coming. And also, yes, Sam Loomis's car gets blown up. I've said this for the past few movies, but the Halloween sequels always blow up a car. It's a a weird tradition, but yes, this is our car explosion for Halloween 4, so Sam Loomis's car there. But anyway, after that, we get to meet, well, it's actually intercut, but anyway, we also get to meet Jamie, Danielle Harris, who is Jamie Lee Curtis, Laurie Strode's daughter. So yes, the daughter of Laurie Strode is named after the actress that played her in the first 2 movies, you know, just to kind of tie it in for everybody. It's a nice little homage, you know. But we find out that she's with a new foster family. She's with a foster family because 11 months ago, you know, enough time has passed, but it's not been really that long, her mother and father died in a car wreck. So Jamie Lee Curtis isn't in this movie. And it's one of those things where I'm like, you know, I always feel you can write characters out without killing them. Sometimes it takes a little more work, but there's so many times in horror movies where they can't get someone back, or they can't get them back for long, or sometimes they just don't want to write with the character, and they just kill off this character. There's so many horror movies where the final girl, the lead from the last movie, is an early or sometimes off-screen kill in a sequel, and it's always disappointing and sad. And this is the first time the Halloween franchise did it, but it will be far from the last, and we'll talk about those in future reviews. But anyway, Jamie Lee Curtis, they couldn't get her back. They wanted a connection, so you write about her daughter, because other than Michael, she doesn't really have any family left. But if you write about her daughter, why is she not there? I guess we have to kill her, so it is what it is, and I understand why they made this choice. But anyway, Jamie, not in the best of predicament. You know, she's with the foster family, so she's still upset that her real parents are dead. She's getting bullied in school because of this, which is really cruel, but, you know, school kids can be cruel. But also, she's getting bullied because of who her uncle is. You know, after it got out in Halloween 2, it apparently got out to the whole town, and everybody knows her uncle is Michael Myers, and she's having nightmares where she sees Michael Myers coming after her. So this is really not a good headspace for her, but her adoptive family is good. They're supportive. You know, they didn't pull that evil stepmom trope or anything like that. And you get to meet her older adoptive sister, Rachel, who's a really good, you know, final girl character who's supportive and wants to help her out. Now, what happens is Rachel wants to go on a date with her boyfriend, but the babysitter canceled at the last minute, and she has to watch her younger adoptive sister on Halloween night. And, you know, to shake things up a bit, Jamie had always been afraid of Halloween, but because she's bullied for being such an outsider, she thought, I'm going to be part of Halloween. I'm going to go trick-or-treating this year, and I'm going to fit in with the other kids. And you actually do get to see her make friends on Halloween night, so a cool part of the story there. But yeah, so Rachel and Jamie are going out trick-or-treating for the first time ever, and we all know Michael Myers is on the loose, and he's doing things like, you know, throwing a guy into the power station to disable power, taking down communications, working against the police station. You can kind of see before he comes after them, he's once again planning, much like he did in Halloween 2 when he was taking down the hospital. Michael Myers doesn't get enough credit for that. He is a planner, and he does think about things logically, like, okay, gotta take down the phone lines now. So you do get to see his shadow kind of looming over things before he makes his big strike. But overall, like I said, the first part is very much character development. We are meeting Jamie and Rachel and seeing this young girl's life, and Danielle Harris really does a good job acting here, and you really feel for her. And when she does make friends trick-or-treating, you're like, ah, cool, she's making friends, ah, that's great, you know. So, you know, good characters, but as far as kills go, lots of off-screen stuff, and they're not as over the top and big and not as memorable, even though I do think more people died here than in previous entries, but, it's not as over the top and spectacular. I really wish they had focused on creating creative kill sequences, but they're not the best thing ever, but there are a few interesting moments, and like I said, it builds up to a good finale, but, it's just not the most memorable thing ever outside of the characters. So, yeah, it's a cool introduction to the new world. This is the first part of the Thorn trilogy, and this does a lot of setup for that. And overall, it's good. Not the best thing ever, but a good, fun watch, a good, fun, middle entry in this series. Far, far away from the bad ones, but not near as good as 1 and 2. So, it's fun for what it is. It's better than your average slasher, better than a lot of those, cheaply made ones, but yeah, not quite the level as the first two. But anyway, still fun. Good to see Michael Myers back. Good to get back in the old groove of things. So overall, I did like it, just not as much as 1 and 2. But anyway, fun movie. So that's about all I have to say right now. If you guys want to see more, I'll put a relevant playlist on the bottom, and you should be able to see my reviews for the other Halloween movies I've covered in that playlist. So if you want to see my reviews for the first 3, you can click there and find the videos for that in that playlist, the Halloween playlist. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.